How do you see the American FPV market adapting? Thank you for a $2 super chat, Joe B. Joe, I'm going to try to keep this answer brief because obviously you could talk a lot, and it's all sort of guesswork. So I don't want to spend a lot of time doing guesswork when what will happen will happen. I see a move, an increase in American manufacturing. I see more companies trying to manufacture in America. This is largely for the government military market, who is very concerned about domestic production and specifically concerned about reliance on China. I think that a lot of people see it as a strategic weakness that we are so reliant on China for our production and are trying to make moves to increase domestic manufacturing. Now, whether those moves are effective, like what the outcome of those moves is, and who is, like, there certainly is a, like, whenever you do something like this, like, who gets the contract? Oh, it's the best friend of the guy who donated to the senator who wrote the law. There's a lot of opportunity for this to be abused to certain people's benefit. And so, like, I'm not saying this is a purely altruistic, neutral process, but it is a process that is happening. We see Rotor Riot releasing made in the USA stuff. They're visible because they also sell to the hobby market, but there are companies who are developing drone related manufacturing in the United States who are not really selling to the hobby market. One that comes to mind is Neros. I don't know to what degree Neros manufactures in the U.S., but to some degree, they have an NDAA. They have an NDAA drone, so like they to a large degree. So this company is Neros. They make military drones, government drones. They manufacture in the U.S. Oh boy, isn't that fun? So how do you see the landscape changing? I see more American manufacturing. Yeah, onshore the manufacturing of drones critical to a modern arsenal. So onshoring is key to their business message. How will that affect the hobby market? I don't know, because the domestically manufactured stuff is usually more expensive and hobbyists are very price sensitive. But then we've got tariffs, sort of on again, off again tariffs. So there's also a move to try to move the American consumer market away from Chinese dependence, and it's unclear how that will play out. It's very unclear how that will play out. As far as hobbyists go, the regulatory situation right now is relatively toothless. There is very little enforcement of regulations around FPV, but hobbyists, people thinking about getting into the hobby, they start learning about the RC hobby, and they see all this. If you want to fly, you have to get a trust certificate. You have to register your drones. You have to yada yada yada. And they go, that puts a bad taste in my mouth. And some of them are just sort of like, nah, I'm gonna go do something else. Like, some people just love the hobby and will get into it no matter what. Even though those regulations are relatively toothless, they just like, I don't like it. I'm going to do something else. So I think that the regulations have certainly had a dampening effect. The increase in price of stuff has had a dampening effect for sure. The hobby market is still alive, but not as active and large as it once was, in my opinion. I don't have hard numbers to back that up, but that's my opinion. And then I think that it's likely that we will see more moves in the future to restrict the access to the airspace. I don't think they're done yet. Whether that's because someone in the government sees drones as a security threat and thinks they need to be removed from the airspace or further restricted, whether that's because a drone delivery or an air taxi company wants to clear the airspace I think that the restrictions will get worse, and the ability to just buy a drone, build a drone, put it in the air with no sort of like care in the world. I think that is going to become more and more difficult, and that's unfortunate for people who love the hobby. There will always be people. There always were people who made it happen, and there always will be people who make it happen. But I think that the large thriving FPV community. I think that there's that famous Hunter Thompson quote that I think of a lot actually. The famous Hunter Thompson quote where he says. He says, yes, well, I'll just put it on screen. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's kind of long. Um, um, so now stop. He says, so now less than 5 years later, you can go up on a steep hill in Las Vegas and look west, and with the right kind of eyes, you can almost see the high water mark, that place where the wave finally broke and rolled back. And I wonder if, as far as the FPV hobby goes, that wave has broke, and we can see the high water mark where the FPV community was as big as it ever will be, where the interest in FPV, the thriving community, and the FPV community is thriving. IO just happened. There were a ton of people at IO who had a great time. There's a ton of people in the FPV. I'm not saying it's not thriving now, but I do wonder whether the future that wave will roll back, and some people will stay up on the beach and not go with it. Yeah. So, got a little emotional there for a minute.